Hi, it's Steve here, and I am going to go over a presentation for you today that is important and relates to any business in the US or any business who is using SMS or text messaging services in the US to become compliant with the new regulations that are taking place right now. So this presentation is titled How to Stay Compliant Using Our Trust Center. So let's go through this. So what is A2P 10DLC? So A2P means application to person. 10DLC is a 10-digit long code, and that is the standard that US telecom carriers have put into place to ensure that SMS or text messaging traffic to US end users through long code phone numbers is verified and consensual. So let me explain that in a nutshell. Anybody who's using text messaging services, the carriers want to prevent spamming and text messaging to people who do not want to receive their text messaging. So they're putting these compliance policies in place that everyone has to abide by. So anyone sending SMS or MMS messages over a 10DLC number from an application to the US must register for A2P 10DLC. Notice it says must register. It doesn't say can register. Everyone must register. Carriers consider all SMS traffic being sent from any application. So anyone using a 10DLC number to send SMS messages to the US will need to register. This includes businesses, individuals, and hobbyists. So what happens if you do not register? Well, number one, your SMS will start failing and will have high risk of filtering along with higher carrier charges. Number two, you'll get higher carrier charges that begin on July 1st, 2023. Number three, verification for existing sole proprietor brands starts on July 5th, 2023, and the deadline for compliance registration is August 31st, 2023. Now, what happens if you start with our services after August 31st, 2023? Well, that just means that you'll have to go through the registration process like everyone, and you will not be able to send text messages until you get an approval back. And also note that registrations can take time depending upon the volume of those registering. So because there's going to be a large push of all businesses using text messaging services to have to register, you're going to see a much greater increase in volume of registration, which can delay the approval process. So what if you have multiple business locations? If you have multiple business locations under the same brand, you would submit a registration for each location and could use the same business identification, such as an EIN, an employer identification number. So let's talk about getting started and how you will go ahead and go through the process, which we've made quite easy. Now, we have no relation to the approval process. We have a step-by-step process, though, where you can go through and easily submit your registration. So while you're inside of Powr Connect, you're going to go to the left sidebar, and at the bottom, you must be an admin to do this. You'll see settings, and then you're going to click on settings and then go to phone numbers. Once you're at phone numbers, you could potentially see this. And that red banner means that you have either not registered or you have incomplete or failed registration. So then that means you're going to have to start your registration process. And you'll see the Trust Center in the upper right menu, and you're going to click on Trust Center. And when you click on Trust Center, this is what it looks like. You have on the left A2P brand and campaign registration, and on the right you have business profile. So we'll talk about each of those now. So there are several types of A2P 10DLC registration. For virtually all businesses, unless you have a significant amount of text messaging that is going out on a daily basis. And when I say significant, I mean greater than like 6,000 to 10,000 messages per day on a daily basis, then you would need a different approach. But in most cases, you'll fall under the A2P standard low volume. Now, there are two different types that you can register for. Number one is any business who has a business registration number or an EIN. And number two, any business who is a sole proprietor and does not have an EIN. So let's first go over the process for businesses with a business registration number or an EIN. So the first thing you're going to have to do is submit your business profile for review. Within the Trust Center, you're going to see where it says Submit for Review under Business Profile. And you'll see that you're going to enter your information, and there's a step-by-step process to do this. Now, you're going to want to gather all this information prior to you completing this process. So I'm going to show you what is required. You'll have to gather that, and then you'll be able to easily complete this business profile. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to enter your legal business name. Now, I can't stress enough that it is important to use the legal documents and how your business is listed on your legal documents for this. So in this case, we just have an example, Demo Company LLC, an email that would be placed in here, and that email would be the business standard email. Like if you were to receive an email to your general business, what would it be under? Your business website, and then it's asking you for your business type. So are you a limited liability company? Are you a corp? What is it? And this is a drop down that you can list. Business registration ID type. So most will have an EIN, and you can select an EIN here and then enter your EIN under the business registration number. This is the information related to the business that is sending out the messaging. Additionally, business industry. What business is the company in? And its location. So in this case, USA and Canada. Then you're going to go on to step 2, which is the legal business address. Do not use a post office number here, a post office box. That will not work. You have to have a physical address. And then step 3, you're going to want to choose an authorized representative for the business, and first name, last name, email, job position, and that authorized representative's phone number. Once you've completed all this, you're going to click Submit. And that is the process for those who have an EIN to submit their business profile for review. The second thing that you're going to want to do when you have an EIN is that you're going to need to perform a standard campaign registration. So for those with an EIN, this is essentially a 2-step process. You first complete the business profile. Now you're going to complete the standard campaign registration. So you're going to go to the Trust Center. You're going to select the option that you have an EIN. And then you're going to use your W-2, W-9, CP575 form to fill out the business details accurately. Fill in the details completely, and then you'll be able to submit. So let me show you how that will work. So you're going to go to this area under the Trust Center, start registration, and there's a step-by-step process. You're going to select that you have an EIN in this case. In step 2, it's showing you what the costs are going to be. This is a one-time cost for a standard campaign registration. and it is approximately a $20 one-time fee that will be passed along to you. The next step in the process is step 3, where you're going to complete your business information as you did before. Now, some of this information may be placed in here because you've already filled out your business profile. If not, please add it again. Your business address is step 4. Again, all this information should come from your legal documentation. Step 5 is the authorized representative. Step 6 is enter your campaign details. So you're going to choose a low volume mix. That's what we recommend. And then you're going to give a campaign use case description. Now, we'll have some documents to give you examples of what to enter in here, but of course it's going to be specific to your business and what you're doing with your text messaging. Step 7 is enter more campaign details, and it's asking for sample messages that you would send. And at the bottom, will you be embedding a link? Will you be including phone numbers? Finally, in step 8, it's asking for end user consent. How do end users consent to receive messages, and how do they opt in, and the opt-in message that you would utilize. So as you can see, what they're trying to find out, they're trying to make certain that you are a legitimate business that's doing the right things when sending text messages. Now, we've talked about how to do this when you have a limited liability company or a corp and you have an EIN. What happens when you're a sole proprietor and you do not have an EIN? Well, the difference is you won't need to complete the business profile, but you still will have to, submit your information. So for a sole proprietor, registration this is perfect for customers in the U.S. who are individuals or small businesses and do not have a business tax ID, such as an EIN. And it's important to note that a sole proprietorship registration does not require a DUNS number or a Social Security number. But please note that businesses that submit their brand under the name of sole proprietor, even though they have a business registration number, are likely to have their brand rejected. How do you do a sole proprietor registration when you don't have an EIN? You're going to select the second item here. No, the business I'm registering does not have a tax ID or EIN. Again, there's a $20 one-time charge for setting this up. And then you're going to go through the step-by-step process again. So you're going to go through the business details. You're going to go through the brand details. And in this case, you're going to select the campaign use case is a sole proprietor. And you will again go through the process of step 7 and 8 of giving examples of your campaign details. Let's talk a little bit about the approval process. This application process has been created to make it easier for you to reach mandatory compliance with the carriers so that you can send out text messaging campaigns. However, the time it takes for approval and the approval process itself is out of our control. This compliance process is from the carriers like Verizon and AT&T and T-Mobile. This is what they're requiring, not us. We're giving you the way to do it, but it's all in their hands when they do the approval process. So hopefully, if all goes well, you'll be notified that you have been approved. And again, that depends upon how much volume comes in. So you want to get this in as soon as possible. And if you are approved, this is what it looks like. So now under the Trust Center, you will see a green banner that says you are now A2P 10 DLC compliant. And what does that mean? That means that you now can send out text messaging, and most of your text messaging will get to the end user, as long as you stay compliant and you're not spamming people with text messaging, right? So the good news about this whole process is that although it takes time now to become compliant, a lot of the people who use text messaging to just spam out text messages will be shut down. That means that when a person does receive a text message from you, they will actually get it, and it's meaningful because of the fact that it is typically not spam anymore. So over the next several months, as this proceeds, spammers will be kind of shut down in this process, and those who go through the compliance process and are approved will be able to get their messages directly to their end user. So I hope this helps. If you have any problems or questions, feel free to reach out to us.